There was no cursing in the O'Brien household, ever. I mean, under no circumstances could you swear. You know, growing up, you knew that. If you, you know, if you were in the heat of the moment, you were playing a board game and you stubbed your toe and you dropped an S-H-I-T, good job, because you just ruined Christmas. And growing up, I had this friend, Mike Sika, and his family was second-generation Italians. And these guys didn't have the no cursing rule. So when I went over their house, his mother would say, "Michael, get your effing toys off the effing floor!" And I remember like holding my Super Nintendo controller and just being like, "Stare at the screen, stare at the screen, it's gonna happen." And I was scared, but not even just of the words, but of the volume this woman had. She'd say, "Get your ASS to bed!" And we'd go to bed, and then I'd hear the HBO logo, and the Sopranos would start, and I'd hear more cursing. It was really a cultural experience all around. You know, but the Seekers, as crazy as they were, they had, there was a warmth there. They hugged a lot, and they were very tender. And the O'Brien family was more formal. We walked on eggshells, and we were, you know, we weren't the same. We had rules, you know. I remember Sika's grandfather at the end of soccer games, he would take his lawn chair after the end of the soccer game and just go straight to the van. Didn't matter what was in the way, no obstructions, straight to the van. So he would cross through everyone else's soccer game. All the parents would be screaming at him. He did not care. My grandfather, Pop, he wasn't like that. He was really very aware. But Pop liked cursing. Pop was funny. In the 9th grade, I remember Austin Powers was the movie. I mean, I knew that movie from front to back. I knew the whole thing, okay? And one time, on a surprisingly nice O'Brien outing, we were getting back to the house, and my father's feeling around for his keys, and we're all laughing, waiting for the keys to come out, and I'm getting a little antsy, and he's looking for the keys, and in my Dr. Evil impression, I say, "Open the frickin' door." And he looks at me. And then my mother looks at me, and I knew they thought I said the F word, but I hadn't. I said, "I swear, it's frickin' door, look at the script. That's not the word. I said this for weeks." But it was too late, it was ruined. But Pop liked that. Pop thought it was funny. So cursing was off the table for the family, but apparently saying depressing crap, that was cool. Really fun. I'll never forget, one year my mother's sitting there, and she tells us this story about her mom. And her mom had one rule. She said, "When I die, do not put red fingernail polish on my hands. I think that's the tackiest thing." So my grandmother passes, and my mom she's, you know, doing all the funeral arrangements, just taking care of all the details. And sure enough, she had forgotten, and the red nails were there. The O'Briens were Catholic and liberal, and I think that there's a lot of guilt with that combination. And she was guilty for weeks this woman was guilty, you know? And then she tells us at Thanksgiving, the most appropriate time to tell us this, that she had a dream. And then her mother came to her in this dream, and it was super realistic, and she said, "Listen, Donna, it's okay, all right? You know what? You did good." And to her, to my mother, that was her excusing her. To me, that meant I was never going to a Thanksgiving with the O'Briens if I could help it in the future. So as I get older, the Seekers sort of drift out of our life, but I still have that void. I still have that emptiness, you know? I want to get away from my repressed nature. So I find another family. My buddy Mark Shue. Now this guy, he's crazy. I mean, he's funny, he's nuts, he's drinking, and he's good looking, which is confusing for women because this kid has no repressed gas. I know this is really lowbrow, but honestly, I mean, to this day, this guy just still lets them fly. And I know it's gross, but I mean, these things were disgusting. They could clear out rooms, and I envied it in a way because he was very unapologetic. You know, I had friends from Europe come over one time, and we were all in the car, and I was like, "Mark, really? You just met these guys?" And he would get really red in the face, and he would laugh. But he didn't apologize, and I respected that. So my sophomore year of college, it's Thanksgiving, and my pop calls me. He says, "Stacey, you know, oh, are you coming to the family Thanksgiving?" I said, "No, Pop, I got work," because having work was the only way to get out of an O'Brien event. They love work. And Thanksgiving Day came, and the O'Briens went to the O'Brien house, and I went to Shue's house. And it was as far from my family's Thanksgiving as possible. There was Papa Shue, there was his sister, there was Dazzle, a karaokeing psychic, yes, and there was his dog, who sat at the table, Dodger. Yes, that's a whole other story. I could go 10 minutes, but let's just leave it. All I remember is I'm eating my mashed potatoes, and I distinctly remember I could no longer taste the mashed potatoes in my mouth. I had lost taste, and there was a smell so foul at this table. And I looked around, and everyone else at the table was like squinting, like, ooh. And it was gross. I mean, I really was suffocating, and there was tears in my eyes. I'm not exaggerating. Like, this is really sick stuff. And even his father smacks me and goes, Mark, come on! And that must have been rare, because he did this all the time, you know? And all of a sudden, his grandmother, at a speed that no grandmother should ever run, she jumps up and runs away. And I'm all looking around, and everyone's looking around, and we suddenly chase her. She was in the bathroom dry heaving. She almost threw up. She thought she was going to throw up. And Mark's sister says, you could have killed her grandmother with a fart. Mission accomplished, you know what I mean? I had skipped an O'Brien wedding, you know? I had skipped it, and I had a great time with some crazy people. And Dazzle had told me a lot of psychic readings. I'm not a spiritual guy. I don't believe in reincarnation. I don't believe in afterlife. I really don't believe in mothers telling their daughters that it's okay, that they messed up their nails. But 3 weeks after, I had a dream. In this dream, my grandfather was lying on the floor, and his head was in my lap. And I dragged him into an elevator. It was so real. And that night, my father called me and said, Grandpa had passed. You know, and I'm not a spiritual guy. I don't believe that stuff. I really don't. But as cold as we can be, and maybe we don't curse a lot, maybe O'Briens don't say stuff, but maybe we don't hug. But there was that dream, and maybe we're closer than we know.